Wait, they were like, what?
And I was like, boss, please.
Hey, listeners. Welcome back to another episode. I'm Meghan.
You're talking really slow, Meg. Why is that?
I was just like, started a slow entrance. I just figured I'd really take it in.
Wow, okay.
I was really envisioning our listeners just then, like whether they were in the car or what they were doing. I was like actually genuinely like speaking to them.
It reminded me of Smart House a little bit.
Oh, kind of like
like the robot in Smart House.
Or like Siri. Okay, I'll talk a little faster.
Okay, great.
Okay, let's talk about how we were bosses.
So I was a boss this week because, well, listen, like I am a full like recessionista. Like I love to save a buck, especially because I'm planning a wedding. So there was this great deal on Minted. Non-spawn, but if you want to spawn me for my wedding, that would be great.
I love non-spawn.
So we ordered our save the dates.
Yes.
So that's taken care of. I ended up getting 25% off, which was awesome. And we got really pretty foil ones, and they're all fancy, and they go along with our theme. So that's kind of a headache out of the way. And then, you know, just chugging along with wedding planning, I am also meeting a planner this week.
Oh.
So it's like the ball is rolling.
The ball is rolled.
Yeah, totally.
That's wonderful. I love that.
How have you been a boss?
Okay, so mine's a little silly. You're gonna laugh at me.
Uh-oh.
But I was a boss because I think sometimes I do nervous plucking, and like if I'm just bored, I'll be like by my big window and I'll have my mirror and I just like pluck my eyebrows and I'm like, Meghan, you need to stop. But Demi from The Bachelor, I saw her Instagram story and she was like, you guys, I totally stopped plucking my eyebrows and now I'm just using brow gel and they look so good that I want the same thing. So I'm just not plucking my eyebrows. I'm going to get them big and bushy and just use some eyebrow gel, and I'm going to stop nervous plucking. So I did not pluck. That's my boss moment.
See, it's weird. I stopped plucking in high school and I only take care of the hair in the middle. That's it.
I know. I'm just weird. Like I it's a nervous tick. Or I don't do them a lot. I just do the stray ones, but I think because I've been plucking for so long and I have a lot of blonde ones in there, that it's just like they're a mess. My eyebrows are a mess.
Have I ever told you like what I did as a child with my eyelashes?
No.
This might freak you out.
Oh my God, what did you do?
I used to have like a nervous habit of pulling my eyelashes out.
I think I did too. That's not weird. But
like,
were they all gone?
Like the bottom ones were completely gone.
Jill.
Like I'll never forget, my aunt had, so me and my cousin Daniela are 10 years apart. So I was 10 when she was born, and I remember driving in the car or whatever, and I pulled my fucking eyelashes out like it was nobody's business. And we walk in and my aunt is just like, hi, what?
Oh my God, that's so
it looked
funny.
So bad.
I don't know if you'd notice eyelashes as much as like, I guess, an eyebrow. Like,
oh my God.
Some kids like shave their eyebrows or like whatever. We've all done something weird, but that's so funny. Okay, so for our real talk today, I'm so excited. We have Hailley from HomeCooked. She's going to be a guest on, and I kind of thought it'd be funny or like a cute pun if we talked about what ingredients we already have that make us who we are, that make us boss-like, and what ingredients we wish we had in our kitchen that made us more of a boss.
Well, I think I am a very supportive person.
You are.
So I will be your biggest cheerleader if I believe in you and, you know that you are doing something amazing. You have amazing things to say. I just love supporting other people's successes. Mm-hmm. So I think that's like the number one ingredient in my kitchen of bossness. And then something I wish I had, I think I wish I felt more comfortable in those times where it's just me in my head.
Girl, that's literally mine. That's like the ingredient I wish I had. Oh my God, continue.
Like
I literally the same thing.
I just overanalyze too much, and I have been really trying to work hard on not caring what people think, and I get way too in my head. So I think if I could add something, it would just be like, the no fucks given spice.
Okay, Jill and I are absolutely friend soulmates because that, no joke, and we did not talk about this before we recorded, is literally the ingredient I wish I had. Same thing. Mm-hmm. I wish I could just get out of my fucking head and have way more confidence. It's not that we don't have confidence as women, but I know I get in my head and I second guess myself all the time. Yeah. I'm the queen of second guessing. And that is an ingredient, or I guess that's not an ingredient. It's an ingredient I wish I had is more confidence and more knowing that I can do it. Just believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, Meg. But in retrospect, I think an ingredient that I do have is the ability, in a way, to believe and take that leap of faith, knowing that I'm going to step outside my comfort zone. Like, I'm very happy I was blessed with that ingredient, or instilled with that ingredient, to leave my comfort zone, to pursue what I want to pursue, knowing that it wouldn't happen within my comfort zone.
I would say, like, you're the queen of taking chances. You
Thank
really
you.
do. Like,
Thank
you and I think that's helped me since we've become closer friends, just because, you know, you're always like, just do it. Like, what are you waiting for? It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be what you want it to be. You just need to do it. Apply for that thing that you wanted, that you think you have no shot at. Talk to this person that you don't think is going to email you back. Like, you are very good about that. And I know that you're constantly putting yourself out there. So
yes. And thank you so much for saying that. It's nice to hear that as a compliment and a reassurance, because I feel like I'm the queen of also just like starting things and not finishing them, but sometimes I'll start them because I'll just start and then it doesn't feel right. And I'm like, this isn't it. I'm getting close, but it's not it. So, it's just kind of like there's a lot of dead ends, but then it's like you gotta make a lot of starting over, but it's okay because I think it's all leading to something.
Yeah.
But okay, I am so excited for our next guest. Hailley, the creator of HomeCooked, literally goes into people's kitchens, takes ingredients, and makes these miraculous meals all by what they have. And I cannot wait to learn something from her because Lord knows I need it. So we'll be right back. Hey bosses, welcome back. We are so excited to have Hailley Field in studio. Hey girl.
Hello.
Hailley is the creator of HomeCooked, which is your chef-on-demand meal solution. Hailley will come straight to your kitchen and prepare a delicious meal using what you already have on hand in your fridge and pantry. The first ever service of this kind, HomeCooked was founded in 2018 out of Hailley's love for adventure, community, and making the best out of any fridge. Cooking since the age of 10, Hailley has traveled all over the world as a volunteer, cooking, eating, and exploring along the way. She was featured in Angelino's magazine, LA Confidential magazine's The List, alongside Beyonce, hey girl, as a guest chef at the Hollywood Farmers Market, and recently made her national television debut on the Food Network. Check out her Instagram at She Can Help You to see what she's up to. Welcome.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
First of all, I was immediately obsessed with you because you contacted us about wanting to be on the podcast.
I did.
And I was like, I love her already, first of
I've
all.
got a strong hustle. I'll be the first to admit it. It doesn't always work out in my favor, but I think what I have found successful is that I approach it like I'm a real person, you know? I'm not somebody's PR handler. I mean, no disrespect. It'd be nice to afford that, but I'm a real person. You guys are real people. I kind of approach it that way, and I think that has been something that has worked for me.
It's totally awesome. I loved it. I love the vibe of your email too. You're just very much like, here I am, and like, take it or leave it. And we took it.
Yeah, take it or leave it. Very much so. I don't have to, grovel or put on airs or anything. It's just we're all real people trying to get somewhere, right?
So great. Okay, so I am obsessed that you're here because, as Jillian knows, I am terrible in the kitchen, and the fact that you knew that this was a passion at 10 years old. I mean, I was eating like potato chips and like bagels every day at 10. So like, how did you discover that this was your passion at such a young age?
It's funny. It happens so organically in a way that I don't remember ever not being into it. My mom is a really good cook. She's a great cook, self-taught, just like I am. And I always just remember enjoying watching what she was doing or how she was seasoning things. And it's really nice to grow up in that household where you're around someone who intuitively seasons things correctly. That can be taught, by the way. It can be taught, but it's nice to kind of absorb that through osmosis through someone that you see daily doing it that way. She cooked a lot. We didn't eat out a lot. We were very much bargain shoppers, buying in bulk, those kinds of things, and cooking all of our meals. So that's what I was used to. And yeah, I just started experimenting in the kitchen a little bit, helping my mom. And the first thing I ever cooked was chocolate chip cookies. It was the first recipe I ever made. And today, you know, I can make him in my sleep now. It's kind of funny. But that was the first thing I ever made. And the first meal I ever made for my family was one of those Ortega taco kits, where essentially you're just like learning knife skills, right? You're chopping and you're sauteing a little bit, but essentially you're learning a little time management and knife skills. That was
I did not know what saute was at 10. I'm pretty sure. And I also still didn't know how to cut an onion up until like literally a few months ago when you were like, Megan, are you chopping an onion with a butter knife? Because I filmed myself.
I called her out so hard. She like got one of those, you know, meal kits.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, fresh, whatever it was called.
Blue Apron, that's what it was.
But she like posted it on Instagram, and I'm like, are you seriously cutting this with a butter knife? First of all, that's torture because cutting an onion is enough already to begin with. But cutting it with a butter knife, I'm like, that's just painful.
Oh,
what are you
and
doing?
you are bruising those cells.
Yeah, so I need you, and I need your services.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm available. HomeCooked.la, baby.
Yes, I love.
So tell us a little bit about cooking while traveling and what you learned about food and the business and how it's different from the United States.
Definitely. I was on the road for 2 full years. This was in my mid-20s. Of my own accord, it started as kind of a volunteering thing, a kind of find yourself thing, you know, adventurous personality kind of thing. 27 countries at that time. So it was a new country every couple of weeks, quite literally every week maybe. I had reached a point maybe a year in where I hadn't been anywhere more than 3 weeks in a year, you know, and that was of my own accord. In those situations, if you're into it and you're enjoying yourself, there's nothing better. And I firmly believe that anything can become normal, you know, when that's your lifestyle, you know, it becomes normal in a certain way and you get bored of certain things and lonely of certain things like you would if you're working 9 to 5 somewhere. But in that experience, I cooked a lot because I hadn't really cooked professionally prior to that journey. I had worked in food behind the scenes, as I did when I got back as well, administratively, things like that. But I cooked in a lot of professional kitchens in a lot of places all over the world that wouldn't have necessarily given me that opportunity here in the U.S. had I not had a more professional background or a resume or things of that nature that I don't want to generalize too much, but, you know, sometimes a piece of paper holds more weight than the person in the States, in anywhere, but in my experience in the States, a lot more. And so I cooked in some professional restaurants. I cooked in a lot of family homes. I mean, pretty much every family home I went to, I cooked something for them. I made some cute little homemade cookbooks for some people in New Zealand in particular, a really memorable family that I stayed with. And they had certain recipes that I made that are not typical in New Zealand, maybe American comfort foods, things like that they're obsessed with. I made them a little cookbook. So cooking with whatever was on hand. I mean, whether I was staying in a family home or in like an Airstream trailer in their yard or a makeshift cabin in their backyard, whatever I had to cook with gave me that freedom to kind of know that anyone's kitchen in LA is going to be fine because I've cooked in so many weird places all over the globe.
That's wonderful. So is that what sparked the idea of HomeCooked? How did you create that idea and start that business?
In a way it did. I think it kind of retroactively did, or at least subconsciously did. I started HomeCooked as a side project to something else I was working on, actually. I was, like I said, working behind the scenes in food and beverage, administrative stuff for national brands and things like that. And then I was kind of feeling like I wanted to do my own thing. And originally I wanted to get out of food and beverage because I didn't want that life of being on the line. At that point, as you know, I had cooked professionally and all those things. I didn't want that life of being on the line. It's such a stressful lifestyle cooking professionally like that. And I love cooking so much. I have a genuine passion for it. And I didn't want that for myself. So I was trying to start a business about kind of dating advice or male confidence. I have a lot of dating experience. I'm not shy about it. And I felt like I wanted to kind of give these men that blossom one-on-one this opportunity to kind of be a regular person. And I was kind of going down that path. Totally different from what I'm doing now. And I started HomeCooked as kind of this on a whim, like, oh, you know what I'll do? I'll just make some flyers. Literally, I had like flyers with stickers on them and stuff. I'll make some flyers and I'll put them up and people just like have me come cook. And everyone I told about it, especially people that knew me and knew how much I loved cooking, they loved eating my food, etc., was like, girl, this is it. Like, this is what you need to be doing. Like, oh my God. And I got some early support from Angelino Magazine, as you mentioned, and they were so great to me. And I'm still very grateful to my involvement with them and opportunities they gave me, right place, right time kind of thing. And it kind of just grew from there. And now it's my life.
Talk to us a little bit about the process, like from when somebody books you to come to the end.
Okay, so again, you can book on HomeCooked.la. You book specific times. You agree up front to understand that I'm not bringing anything with me, no utensils, no food, nothing. I cook with what you have. And, it's not as much as a barrier as people would think. I get people all the time who are like, what do you do if they have like a jelly bean and a fork? And I'm like, well, then I put it on a plate and I walk away because they have prepaid, baby. But the reality, no refunds. No, there are refunds. See my website. But the reality of it is that people who are paying for this service have food in their house. But it's always a fun question when people are like, they've got, squid and a chocolate bar, whatever. If you want to pay me to make something out of that, fine. You have to eat it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So you book in advance. Usually I have my schedule up about a week or two in advance. I literally bring nothing at all. That's kind of part of the fun for me, but kind of part of the service too. What you can produce from your own kitchen. What I like to do, of course, I get like a little rundown from the people of where everything is just in general. But what I like to do, just my style, is I pull almost everything out that I think I might use because I really like that visual of like what's here. Because I'll be honest, sometimes the dish doesn't create itself until I've already done some prep work. There might be things that I'm like, okay, I know I need to use the potatoes, the carrots, and the chicken, whatever. Chicken needs to defrost if it's frozen. Potatoes need to start being processed because it's a 2-hour window. It's 2 hours, up to 4 people is the standard rate. There's different rates for different parts of LA, of course, because LA is so huge. But that's standard. Up to 4 guests, and it includes me doing the dishes from what I've cooked, right? So I have to kind of be very conscious of getting things done appropriately, letting the dish create itself as I go if I don't have a clear-cut idea right away. Sometimes I do. Sometimes it's very obvious, and I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm creating as I go. And I want to make sure I have time to do those dishes at the end because it's part of the deal. I'm not your maid. You don't save up your dishes for me, but it's part of the deal that I use I wash what I use. So I just like to make sure that I'm going in order as far as time, as far as what takes the longest. And then sometimes I might get a brilliant stroke of genius at the end. Sometimes I might taste something and be like, oh, I actually meant this to be a sauce, but now I'm going to incorporate this into a mashed potato or something like that. I like that freedom to create. It's exactly the way I cook at home in my own house. And so it's very satisfying for me. It's kind of selfish on a certain level because I get a lot of pleasure out of it in a way that I personally didn't get the same amount of pleasure when I'm in a restaurant situation replicating a dish for a customer. I know I can produce a good product, but I'm not necessarily taking a personal satisfaction from it.
I'm so in awe by all of this. I'm like literally going through my refrigerator and what's in my cabinets. And I'm like,
I feel like you and Garrett need to have her over.
We absolutely do.
Absolutely.
So I
We'll
never
record
cooked. And this guy that I started dating, he's not a good cook either, but we challenged each other to start cooking together because it's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we're okay, but I love creative people. And you wouldn't, I guess I never thought to marry cooking, which it is creativity, but like your creativity in the kitchen is like next level. Like,
thank you.
This is unreal. No, I'm in awe right now.
Thank you. What's funny is because since I've always cooked that way, and I think a lot of people in the industry, when I tell them what I do, they're like, oh, like family meal. Family meal, for people who don't know, is when you're in a restaurant. A lot of higher end restaurants do it, some other kinds. And they cook a meal out of kind of what's around or what things are repurposing, whatever, for the staff to eat, because during a restaurant service, there's no time to eat and you're working, 5 p.m. to midnight and you have no dinner. So people in industry are like, oh yeah, cool, totally get it. Awesome, really cool idea to apply it to home kitchens. But then people outside of the industry like yourself are like, wow, and it makes me feel good. I want to take that in. I don't want to be someone that's like, yeah, I guess it's cool. Thank you. I want to be able to be like, thank you. I'm excited too. And to your point about not knowing how to cook, I just recently launched in-home cooking classes.
Oh,
where it's just like HomeCooked.
Wait, game changer. Can there be all the wine too, like that we're all drinking?
Girl, yes.
Oh my God,
as long as you pour me a glass.
Oh, absolutely. It would be like a thing. Okay.
Yep. I have it on my website. It's in-home cooking classes. You can go right on there and find out the details. And I just started it, so it's kind of new. There isn't like HomeCooked has very flat pricing and everything, and the in-home cooking classes, I'm still figuring out what that looks like. But I'm really excited because I have taught not just boyfriends or guys I've been dating, but friends, anyone in that spectrum. I have taught them basic cooking skills, and they're always really appreciative. Yes. And I have people years later being like, I learned how to poach an egg from you. I learned how to make a grilled cheese from you. Not everyone knows how to make a grilled cheese, and that's okay. I can teach you how to do it. It's easy. But yes, in-home cooking classes where I cook teach you how to cook with what you have in your house.
Brilliant.
So when you go to a cooking class, yes, you can learn knife skills or learn basic technique. That's fine. But you can't always transfer that over to your own kitchen and the tools that you have. So that's a brand new service that I just started, and I'm really excited about it.
And I'm going to utilize
Hell
it.
yeah.
And I'm
ready.
obsessed.
Let's do it.
So I obviously love talking about food,
Yes.
and this still pertains to it. But let's talk about more of the business and the entrepreneurship.
Sure.
So in your email, you were very transparent about there being ups and downs. What have been some of the downs, and what have you learned from it?
Oh man, I've only been doing HomeCooked for a year and a half for some perspective, and it feels like it's been 5 years. Honestly, I'm sure you guys can relate to that. I'm sure a lot of your listeners can relate to that. One of the biggest downs was this past summer. I tried to do like a dinner party where everyone was going to be bringing an ingredient, and I would cook a meal out of what everyone brought. I had a venue. They were providing it for free, so thank God I didn't lose money on this. I made flyers when I did the demo at the Hollywood Farmers Market. I had flyers about it. You know, to your face, everyone's like, that's so cool. Oh my God. You know, I had people like, oh my God, this is such a New York thing. This is so New York. And I love that you're bringing it here. You know, people were just like praising me and like, this is awesome. Cause yeah, it's a great idea. We can all admit and understand it's a great idea. And no one bought tickets to it. And so I can get to do it. And I was so bummed. I was like, man, this sucks, because people were like so supportive. And it was like, you know, $25 or something. It wasn't a cost barrier or anything like that. But I was so upset, and I think that's been part of my hardest journey with HomeCooked too, is that everyone to my face loves the idea. I know it's a great idea. The clients that use it love it and are so excited, and it's so helpful for them. But I still have several side jobs. I am not fully sustained on HomeCooked, and I'm transparent about that, because one thing that makes me upset is when you hear entrepreneurs that have quote unquote made it in some sense, whether that means it's their main job or they're really rich or like whatever on that spectrum they are, and they don't really talk about how hard it really is to get to that point. And I'm still chasing that point. You know, I'm still chasing the point where HomeCooked is my only job, or things affiliated with HomeCooked are the only thing I do to earn a living. So not the case. I have to go work right after recording this. You know, like when I go to leave to record this, I have to go to a job that I do for money. So it's there have been a lot of downs. I've gone to some really dark places. You know, I suffer from depression. I'm also very open about that. I am now medicated. I was not medicated. I was only doing therapy when I started doing HomeCooked, and then I had some really intense down moments with HomeCooked, with personal life, all mixed in the same soup pot. It's a lot.
I am also on medication, so I completely understand. I love being open about it.
Absolutely. There's no reason not to be. You know, that whole break the stigma thing I love, because I've always been open about your feelings and talking about your feelings. I've been in therapy for 5 years. I've had a lot of rough stuff happen in my family life and things like that. And I'm not as open about the details, I'll admit, you know, because sometimes I get a little weird about that. But I'm very open about my struggles with depression, you know, clinical depression, and trying medication for the first time, and that whole journey, and juggling all of that while trying to make a name for yourself and make a career for yourself. It's a lot, you know.
It is. Jill and I very happily always promote therapy on this podcast. We talk about it a lot. We are both in it, and we love it.
I feel like, you know, you get to a point in your life where you're like, why am I not doing this thing that it could help me?
Yes.
And in most cases, you can find a low-cost option.
Agree. I completely agree. I'm here to talk about the Affordable Care Act. That's my long con for appearing in this podcast. For people that don't know, in 2014, thank you, Obama, for real. He enacted the Affordable Care Act. If you guys don't already know, if you're on Medi-Cal or any sort of low-cost insurance, there is a mental health branch for every single provider. Contact your health insurance provider. For even if you have free health insurance, you do have an option for weekly free therapy. It's difficult to find the right person, as we all know, but I just want everyone to be very clear on that. That is what I use. That is the only reason I'm able to afford to go to therapy, is because of the Affordable Care Act.
That's amazing. And then a lot of therapy, mine is sliding scale. So based on your income, then they work with you, which is, so I totally agree. Totally agree.
Since we're talking about those, you know, like low moments. Yeah. I mean, it has to be hard because, you know, you're doing multiple jobs, but you are your own boss in your passion. Yes. So when you're in the throes of it, you know, how do you leap out? Because you're here today and you're running what will be an extremely lucrative business.
Agreed.
Yeah. It will be your only job.
Yes.
So how do we make sure that we're able to climb out of the hole. Because I know a lot of people feel that, especially when they're working in what they love. These things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it really comes down to having enough courage to reach out to the people in my life that really love and support me. I am so lucky to have really close friends that I've known for, 10, 15 years, from college, from my world travels. I have close friends, and it's funny because I don't feel like I'm the best person in the world at keeping in touch, but I always get compliments from those friends because none of them live in LA. None of my best friends live in LA. So that's a whole challenge within itself. I've got friends here, obviously, but none of my like ride or dies are really around that much. And so I get compliments all the time on how well I keep in touch with them. And I guess it just doesn't occur to me not to, because I'm so loyal to friends. Once I feel like someone really loves me for me, I'm really loyal. I have a few girlfriends that I can text them and be like, hey, I really need a phone date really soon. And they're like, okay. And they immediately know, okay, what day, Wednesday, Thursday, okay, we're ready, on the calendar, and then we connect. And so texting is great and it sustains us all and it's fun to get those fun friend texts. But for me, talking on the phone to my girlfriends, to my mom, that's huge for me, being able to talk that out. And maybe it's because I really enjoy going to therapy and talking out is great for me, but that's really my chosen thing, is talking it out or doing things just for me here in LA. I'm kind of a loner in a lot of ways. I've been trying to be more social lately, which has been fun in its own right, and I've kind of enjoyed it. It's hard. Being super social is really hard.
We can relate.
You can relate, right?
We hate being social.
Yeah.
I'm literally like, okay, I'm 30. My friends are the friends that I will have, and that's pretty much it.
Sure. Well, I'm kind of that person that was like super mega social butterfly for a really long time when I was younger, through college, all that, like, woo. And then traveling for so long by myself with just me in a backpack not completely changed, but really brought out that lone wolf in me that was always there, but I was always just preoccupied with like friends and parties and all that fun stuff.
It's needed.
It's totally needed. And so I've been really working to get back to that, because with all the isolation and sadness and depression that comes not only with just living in LA in your 30s, right? I'm 34 as well, but having your own business and going on that journey, which is super, super isolating. I realized I need to try and be more social, and it's hard. Being more social in your 30s in Los Angeles is very challenging.
It's so hard. Well, especially with your home cooked, you have to, when you're going to these people's houses, some of them you may not know. They've hired you.
Absolutely.
You have to have this energy. Not only are you being creative and cooking, but you're entertaining people that you don't know. And it's exhausting, mentally exhausting.
100%.
As for empaths, like creatives, like we are, it's like you go home and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do anything.
Oh, 100%. That's something that's been hard for me too. I identify as an extroverted introvert. I really love being around people. It does bring me genuine joy. My extroverted side is real. It's authentic, but I really need to go home and curl up and be absolutely alone and put my phone on silent and be out of there. I do not solely source my energy from being around others at all.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So you said that your friends aren't here.
Where are you from?
We didn't even ask. Where are you originally from?
Sure. I'm from outside of Philadelphia originally. I'm from a
East
little town
Coaster.
called I'm an
why we
East
love
Coaster.
you.
I know, that's why we're all getting along.
Jersey.
Oh,
New
perfect.
Hampshire.
Oh, perfect. We're all East Coasters in the room. Yes, I'm from the suburbs of Philadelphia, a town called Malvern, Pennsylvania.
Okay. I love me some Pennsylvania.
And did you go to school there too?
I went to school on the East Coast as well. I went to school in Western New York State at a little liberal arts college tucked away in the middle of nowhere called Alfred University. It's sort of near Rochester, New York, just to give you a geographical frame of reference. It was great. It was the quintessential college experience where you're in the woods. It's like 2,000 undergrads. So in a year, you kind of know everyone tangentially, and you're just smoking weed and partying and drinking way too much and just having a ball. And it was a real authentic college experience, and I loved it. I would never live somewhere that isolated again, where going to the grocery store 20 minutes away is like a fun evening for you and your friends, but I loved it. I have very fond memories, and a couple of my really close friends I still have from that time.
I love that.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, are you enjoying Los Angeles? How long have you lived here?
Yeah, I've lived here for 5 years. My
Okay.
parents are natives, so both my parents are native Angelinos. So I always grew up coming here to visit family, my grandma, aunts and uncles. A lot of my aunts and uncles still live here in LA as well, and cousins. So I didn't have that stigma against LA that a lot of people do, especially because I lived in Oakland for 5 years prior to moving here. And, people up there in the Bay Area tend to sometimes have a stigma about LA. A lot of my Oakland friends, who are still some of my dearest friends to this day, really don't like LA. You know, they come here and they're like, yeah, I guess it was kind of fun when we hung out, but like, I don't like it there, you know? So I still get that reaction, but I've never felt that way. To me, it was always like grandma's house or my cousin or whatever. Like, I've always enjoyed it. And I moved here for exactly what I'm trying to do now, is to have a bigger life. I think for me, it came down to, I loved Oakland and I still love it dearly. I still go maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I spend Thanksgiving there every year. It came down to, for me, being a bit, perception-wise, right? A big fish in a small pond, because the Bay Area is its own microcosm. You could, you know, be the queen of dream catchers at a farmer's market there and make a real living and have a great life. Like, please enjoy yourself. Or being, you know, a small fish in a big pond in a place like LA, where you have the chance for real national global success. I mean, that is really what I'm after. I'm not ashamed of it. I don't want to be ashamed of it. I think we could get into a whole gender discussion as to, are women more ashamed of it? Are people more ashamed of it? But I don't want to be ashamed of it. I am after something bigger, and that's what I'm here to get. And it just took me, you know, 4 years to figure out what that even meant for me being in LA.
Let's do a slow clap.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I love that.
Please don't hold your applause.
Because you were talking about something bigger and being out here for a reason and growing. So tell us about your experience on the Food Network, and then also share with us where you see HomeCooked going, because I have a feeling that those two questions go hand in hand.
They absolutely go hand in hand. Very
Ding, ding,
intuitive
ding.
you. Ding, ding, ding. Nailed it. I plan to make HomeCooked into a television show. That's kind of what I'm in now, kind of figuring out shooting a pilot presentation and all of those like real scary things that you actually have to really do in order to kind of get that train in motion. But I did an episode of Guys Grocery Games, which aired in the beginning of this past month. It's season 20, episode 7, if anyone wants to watch it on the Food Network's website. I think you can watch it on their app, on YouTube. They don't air in order. So season 20, episode 7 is, and it's the Home Cooks episode. My company is called HomeCooked. It's the HomeCooked episode. It sounds like it was fate, and I guess it kind of was, but it was still like a 6-week process to get on the show. It was really, really, really intense. I had never done anything like that before. I mean, I did like theater and singing and performance and stuff like that, but I've never done professional anything on television. And long story short, how I got on there, I didn't even consider food reality television to be a path for me. I'm not competitive. I have no desire to be like a caricature for a show or sabotage other people. I have this women's group that I'm a part of in LA called Quilt. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. Shout out Quilt. I love you so much. I'm not professionally affiliated with them, but I just love them so much. Please check it out. It's a women's group where people meet in women's homes, groups of about 8 to 10 women, talk about a topic, connect and everything. There's light networking at the end, but it's more about just like, let's just be on the same page as women in the world trying to make it. Yes. Please, we'll talk more about off air because Quilt is so amazing. Anyway, I had met a few. I still have great friends from Quilt. I still go. And a girl from there, we had connected, and I sort of told her about HomeCooked, and then she was like, my sister's in food casting. I'm like, what are you talking about? What? This totally random. I meet with her. She's on maternity leave, not casting, and she's like, have you thought about doing food reality television? And I so naively, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not interested. It's like fake and I don't want to. She was like, girl, listen to me. Like, this could be your foot in the door. People will see that you've had exposure on national television. Doesn't matter how you did. Doesn't matter, none of those other X factors. It's the fact that you were chosen to record an episode. So, in a weird kind of crazy story, like 3 months later, a tangential situation came up and I emailed her. Anyway, I found out that they were casting, and then 6 weeks later I got on the show.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy to even talk about because it does seem like fate when I talk about it, because someone that's like, I want a television show, and then I'm like, I don't want to do that, and she's like, why not? What's wrong with you? And I just didn't get it. I'm still naive to the business in a lot of ways, but at that time I was so naive to the way the business actually worked that I didn't see the connection. Mm-hmm. And it took someone being like, wake up, you're fucking perfect for television. Mm-hmm. Now go do it. Okay. And I'm like, oh, cool. Okay. Awesome. Let's do it. Okay. Yeah. Let's go and let's do it. So
I can totally see your HomeCooked being a show as well. And
Thank you.
Yes, Food Network would be amazing, but I could even see Netflix picking it up.
Yeah.
It's funny you guys say that because as this idea has been brewing for like a year, now kind of thinking about the different ways, I kind of see it on a slightly more alternative network because Food Network, I love them. I'm like making my debut on that channel was truly a dream come true. I mean, let's be honest, it was a full dream come true, but they have a particular air about them and a particular persona that like maybe doesn't fit all the facets of me and maybe doesn't fit exactly the show I want Home Cooked to look like.
Yeah.
I'm not really interested in just a straight up like, now we're going to go to Sally's house and here's the beef stroganoff I made. Like, that's cool. That's
Right.
awesome. But that's not who I am as a person. If I'm going to be trying to live the dream of making my own show, at least at this point in this infancy, I want to at least say, okay, here's what I'd love for it to look like. And then here's the version they're going to pay me to put on television. You know what I mean?
But like I think that's what makes it so different. It is your personality. Because I can totally
Thanks.
see you in the kitchen, like chopping something and like maybe throwing an F-bomb and it being hilarious. Like I would watch that.
Are you listening, Vice? I don't know which network we're supposed to call out.
Or like there's a new
We're manifesting
platform.
right now.
Yeah.
Quibi it's called.
Oh, yeah. I heard about Quibi and then the Hulu partnership with Chrissy Teigen and Dave Chang. I don't know. They're all listeners to this podcast, so
Yes,
I
they
feel
are.
like you guys just slide into the DMs at She Can Help You on Instagram.
Yeah, Chrissy Teigen, hit us up.
Yeah, hey girl.
Girl, we know you.
Loyal
we know you're
listener.
listening.
I'd love to record an
I love all the manifesting that's happening right now.
Yes, put it out there.
Okay, so let's end on some advice for our listeners.
Sure.
People that are intimidated by food, people that are challenged, what is one thing that you can tell them as a first step into getting in the kitchen?
Absolutely. I would say the first step is trying to cook something cheap and easy. I'm literally talking about making rice, making a grilled cheese, making eggs in whatever way you want. Maybe don't start with poached eggs because I feel like that's something that someone else has to probably teach you. You can't really learn that from a video. But starting with something cheap and easy, because that way, if you really destroy it to the point where you can't eat it, you're not wasting a ton of money, you're not wasting a ton of time. Everything I listed can be cooked in like less than 20 minutes, rice probably being the longest, obviously. But yeah, actually just trying to do it and allowing yourself that room to fuck up.
Yep.
That's how anybody learns. I still fuck up. I mean, I'm at the point where I don't fuck up where something's not edible, thank God. But sometimes I make something wrong. And sometimes I'm like, I cooked that for too long. I didn't cook that long enough. And it's all a learning curve. I mean, that's how I got to the point that I am now. I'm 34. That's almost 25 years of cooking behind me. And I'm, I don't claim to be a professional chef. I call myself a chef because I want to own that title, but I'm not someone that went to culinary school, and I still feel like I'm a great cook, and I have no problem owning that. So I would say my advice is just get in the fucking kitchen.
Yes.
Just make something and don't start big. Start really, really small. I really mean it. Start small. Make a piece of toast and broil some cheese on top, and that can teach you a lot about how quickly things cook. Make saute some onions if you're into onions. Saute some onions on your stovetop to see how your stovetop works. Everybody's stovetop is completely different. Everything cooks at a completely different rate. I mean, gas stoves tend to be kind of similar in home kitchens, but the point is learn how the equipment in your kitchen works at a very basic level, and that's going to put you so many steps ahead when you're ready to take those bigger swings.
You guys should see my face right now. I'm like taking in everything she's saying. I'm like, yes, onions. Okay, got it. Noted. I'm like,
Yeah.
I've never broiled anything in my life. I got to do this.
Yeah. No, it's the truth. I mean, these are those little things that can teach you how food reacts to heat, how it reacts to temperature, time. Those are the things that build a foundation for you more than anything else. Like, I can come to your house and teach you how to make a chicken parm for a date, and I'd be happy to do it. I'm super happy to do it. But at the same time, that's not necessarily going to translate into being able to cook anything.
Right.
The base level skills are what translates into kind of you feeling empowered to start to cook some of those other dishes and make them your own,
I think this episode's title should be called "Get in the Fucking Kitchen."
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I think
Did you have the same?
Nailed it.
Well,
Hell
Hailley,
yeah.
thank you so much for coming.
You're
I
so
have
welcome.
nothing but positive feelings about your future. And I know you hear a lot of people say that, but it's just a matter of time until you're starting to see the reward from it. And I know you're already starting to. So I'm very, very excited for you and for your future. And thank you for joining us. And thank you for
so
reaching out and
much.
being a boss.
You know it. I'm happy to. Thank you, guys.
So one more time, where can the listeners find you?
You guys can find me on my website, homecooked.la. You can find me on Instagram at She Can Help You, and hit me up, link in bio.
Hell yeah. All right, everyone. And we'll be back next week.
Bye.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Boss Please Pod. And don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe on iTunes. Navigate the path to your best self with us, because bossing together is always better.